My God was track and field. That's what fulfilled me. That's what I idolized. That's why I wanted it so bad, because that's what my self-worth was dependent on. How I ran on the track was how I defined myself. I wanted to join the Athletes Advisory Committee, so I ran for a position just because I understand both sides. I understand those athletes who are always right in the mix, but maybe they don't have a contract and they're just living month to month, like you said. That was me last year, but now I am fortunate enough to have a contract and not have to work. So I get both sides, and I know what both sides want, so I joined that committee to try to be a voice of reason. So hopefully I can help. Childhood was great. Had both parents in my life, and they were both very hardworking. My dad was an ex-Marine, and my mom was a parole officer. Life was easy. We had a beautiful home, nice cars, clothes on our back, food on the table. It was no complaints. I started with dance at 3, started soccer at 9. My soccer coach suggested that I run track as well because my speed on the field showed. Philadelphia is about an hour and 15 minutes away. My mom would get off of work and drive me to Philadelphia for track practice 2 to 3 times a week to train with my club coach at the time, Ken Abney. He got more out of me, where my high school coach, he couldn't just focus on me. He had to give workouts that everybody in the high school could handle. He allowed me to go to my club coach, who was not afraid to make me crawl to the car after practice. You know, he really, really pushed me. That's why I was able to run 2:02 as a junior and then 2:01 as a senior. My junior year, I'm at USA's, and the junior and the senior meet were held in the same location. I'm 16 years old. I go to sign up for the juniors, and he's like, "No, Chanelle, you're running seniors." And I'm like, "What?" And I ended up making the final as a 16-year-old in the senior meet.
My college days, I would be thinking about a workout all day, like stressed out, like in class, about to cry, thinking about what the workout is. Now I'm just like, you know what? It is what it is, you know?
Carl, you want the workout still gonna be the same, the track is still gonna be the same.
All you can do is your best.
If you saw how I ran in high school, I was fearless. I mean, I would just get out and go and hang on for dear life. I was a 16-year-old maniac. My senior year, I ran in the Prefontaine Classic, and it was Maria Matola. She was going for her 16th win, her Sweet 16, and after this race, she planned on retiring. He was like, "Go to the front and go after it." And I led Maria Matola for 700 meters. During the in-home visits with these coaches and my parents, our main thing was, look, she's already ran 2:02, 2:01. How are you gonna get her to under 2 minutes? And Coach Clark came in with a whole list of athletes who he had coached to 2 minutes or better.
If you look at the history of athletes I coached, Gerald Miles Clark and Joetta and Hazel, that's been a theme even in college. We go to the front. So her doing that was good to see. She was very confident. She wasn't afraid of anybody, anywhere, anytime. She was able to handle all the pressures of the high school. She was able to do the academic load. So I thought that denotes it, and she was fearless. So it was just a draw for me to try to recruit her.
Going into college, I still had that attitude that my high school coach helped me develop. Like, I belong here and I'm going to win NCAAs as a freshman. And I was excited to have training partners like Sarah and Phoebe, something that I had never experienced. I was always Chanelle chasing the clock in practice. He called us his 3 queen bees. So Sarah, Phoebe, and I pushed each other like crazy in practice, which I loved. If you saw how Phoebe and I trained together, it was insane. Sarah with the mile workouts, she would kick our butts, then she would drop down the 8 and we would kick her butt. So I looked at it as an advantage. You know, I'm going here with these awesome girls and we can achieve a lot of things together. I kind of had in mind what the next 4 years of my life was gonna look like. It just didn't play out that way, the way I thought. I went into college thinking that everything was gonna run smoothly because that's what I was used to. Not having that support system that I had at home, my family, that was hard for me. Dealing with a completely different style of training. I don't even know if Coach Clark knows this, but for a while I didn't trust it. I didn't want to change what worked for me in high school. Freshman year, when I didn't even make the NCAA meet in the 800 for indoor, a meet that I planned on winning, you know, but I'm not even going. Right off the bat, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be tough. You know, it was just a huge wake-up call. Throughout sophomore, junior, senior year, I was always just right there, just never really shining like the high school Chanelle. I was always just in the mix. My senior year, NCAA's last chance to get that individual title that I thought I was gonna get my freshman year. So you can imagine the type of pressure, and we ran 201, whoop-de-whoop, I ran that senior year in high school, you know. Then we go to the trials, and I don't even advance out of the first round. I remember talking to one of my mentors, Hazel Clark, and I was like, I am done. My glory days are over, and I need to give it up. And that's exactly what I said to myself after the trials. I was like, yeah, this is definitely a sign. I need to hang up my spikes. So after the trials, I was done.
In high school, you go through in 58 and you're probably leading by 50 meters or more. In college, a little different. When you're leading versus someone on your shoulder, it poses a different type of feel. And then your confidence starts shaking a little bit. And that's when a coach has to keep the athlete in a good spot. And that was challenging because Chanelle's expectations of herself were very, very high. Second place wasn't good enough at NCAAs, or third place wasn't good enough at NCAAs. We wanted to win. It was a growing process for Chanelle, and also for me, because I had to learn how to work with her, and we did. And we had successes, multi-time All-American, top 3 NCAAs, a couple of times losing at the wire.
I get a call that they would like for me to represent the United States at the NACAC under 23 meet. And I'm like, really, God? Like, I say yes, and long story short, I end up winning that meet. And so that was that little glimpse of hope that I needed to keep on going. I got an agent, he sent me to Europe, and the very last race, I ended up running a PR, lifetime best of 2 minutes, .1, and I called it a season. I thought, okay, what's gonna be the next phase of my life? Am I gonna stay home and train with my high school coach? Am I gonna go back out to Tennessee with Coach Clark? For me, it was just what was gonna be the best decision financially, because I didn't have a contract and I needed a place to live and food on the table, and I needed my parents' help. They said, Chanelle, this has been your dream since you were a little girl. Go out to Tennessee, we'll help support you for this year. Go out there and earn a contract, do what you have to do, commit your life to track. I decided to go back to Tennessee, and they supported me, and all I did was train, and I completely burned myself out. I was so burnt out. And that probably was the most detrimental thing I could have ever done. How I'm gonna earn a contract is by making that 2013 World Team. Nothing else mattered in life but making that team. We go to USA's, but I'm like the first person out of the final. That was the most depressed I have ever been in my life. Just laying in my hotel room, just depressed, crying. I remember coach coming and talk to me, and I didn't want to hear what he had to say. Like nothing anybody could say was gonna change my mind. And that's when I just heard God say, you cannot do this to yourself anymore. You gotta stop. And honestly, that's when my relationship with God started. This past year, I've really dove more into Christianity and faith. From that point on, I just reached out to people who I know are strong in their faith, so Coach Clark being one of them. And he looked at me and said, if you never run another step in your life, you know, you'll be great at something else. But I want to tell you right now, do not give up because it is going to work out. And when he looked me in my face and he told me that, I'm like, okay, I'm going to trust this man. Like, we are going to do something crazy together if I just trust him and if I just relax a little bit, you know, just let it go. That's when everything kind of just changed for me. Just understanding that, you know, this is just a gift from God and all I can do is do my best. At the end of the day, it is what it is. It doesn't have to define you. And when it was explained to me like that, I found the love again for the sport. I decided to return to Coach Clark once again, sat down with my parents. I did not want them to support me financially this year. I said, I'm going to get a job or two if I have to, and I'm gonna make this work. And so honestly, working 2 part-time jobs was a blessing for me because I did not have time to obsess about how my practice went or to worry about what my workout was gonna be.
There's nowhere in her mind when she stopped. She had 3 jobs and she was competing. She was teaching, tutoring, and working at a nutritional shop in Knoxville. She was doing all this and still training and getting up with 3 jobs. And I'm like, this kid's gonna make it. She's just gonna make it. She has what it takes. So it's my responsibility to give her all of what I have. My time, make sure her workouts are perfect, meet her whenever I have to, because she really wants it.
Every race I ran in the 2014 season was just off the charts for me. My very first race, I opened up in January with 1,000, came through 206 and finished in 240. And then the next day ran like a 54 on the 400. My very first 800 late January was a 201. I could just remember coach saying like, it's coming, you know, it's coming. And then Boston, we were chasing the American record in the 1,000, and I came second to Mary, 235. So 5 seconds dropped from less than a month. And USA's, Ajay and I, you know, it was a lean at the line. You know, I led for 799 meters and she got me right at the tape. But we made that team and I was just the happiest person in the world. I felt like high school Chanelle. I was happy. People who saw me, they're like, Nellie, you are a different person on the track. And I said, yeah, I feel like a different person. Like I'm warming up, I'm happy, I'm singing, you know, it was fun. And for me, I know when I have fun, I'm going to do well. Every race leading up to the World Championship final, I was caught at the line. Talking to my coach before the final, he said, you know, I've analyzed every single one of your races. I know what you're doing wrong. Just make this one simple change. Finish like a bat out of hell and you will win tomorrow. And like I said, that trust between us was developing and it was getting a lot stronger. And so when he told me what to do, I'm like, really, coach? Like you've never told me to ease up on the third 200. Like, you know, are you sure we're gonna make this change in the World Championship final? And he's like, just trust me. And I said, okay. If you see the photos of me after that finish, after everything I've been through, I wasn't used to things going right.
Man, I'm an old guy. I had a backflip on the track when it happened. You know, I couldn't walk for 3 days, but at the moment it was great. Her mom called. Her mom said something. I still just don't know what she said. She was crying and yelling through the phone.
We had to do a victory lap, and you know, our lady who was handing us the flags for America, I went over to her and I just stood there and she's like, "You won, take the flag." And I'm like, I just couldn't believe it. It was just a dream come true. My life completely changed after World Indoor. Nike picked me up.
I definitely saw that she had a lot of things to overcome, but it was just in the way that I take it. It was just a little fertilizer for it to really grow.
Track consumed me too much. I did not have a healthy relationship with track. And so now that I do, the sky's the limit.
Turnix probably has no idea that Chanelle Price has such reels.
At the championships, we had to make a call. It just wasn't worth the risk.